her missing layups
She
in
is
the WNBA.
the worst fucking basketball player. She's tall and she can jump and she out-rebounds virtually everyone in any game, which is good. Yeah. But she can't make a fucking layup. What the fuck is that headline all about?
Yeah.
Angel Reese couldn't just let Caitlin Clark's European contract run smoothly. So, what does she do? Naturally, she takes control of it, demanding a move to Europe. And for what? To show us all how good she is at hugging the board? Being taller than the rest and stat padding your own layups?
What the fuck is that headline all about?
Yeah.
In the WNBA, we've never seen somebody so driven to cause problems. Reese, who is still embroiled in her own steroid issue, chooses to criticize Clark, alleging that athletes are only looking for a salary and using race as an excuse for pity.
People talk about Caitlin getting hate, but someone sat down and spent hours putting together an 8-minute video with interlude clips all to trash Angel. Why?
Yes, she is clearly targeting that at Clark. Caitlin has never said anything nasty about Reese or any other black athlete. However, some people do not deserve to be silenced. We all know Caitlin Clark's trip to Europe is more than just testing out a new scene or earning a different wage. No, it's about walking away from the poisonous circus that the WNBA has become. Sure, at first appearance, the WNBA may appear to be a dream for someone like her, a player who is created to dominate. But in actuality, it was becoming anything but that. She wasn't just out there shooting hoops. She was avoiding controversy and side-eye like it was part of the game plan.
The addiction is real. The addiction to attention is real. Oh, the dump divers in the WNBA are getting exactly what they wanted. The entitled players in the WNBA, the self-described anonymous.
Why? Because she opted to remain silent while everyone else attempted to turn her into some sort of villain. Some of her fellow athletes, as well as a few media figures, have dubbed her a racist. Seriously, where do they come up with this? But Clark, being the level-headed player she is, never took the bait. She did not waste time reacting to these ludicrous allegations. She simply maintained her concentration on the one thing that truly matters: basketball. But gosh, the tempest surrounding her just kept intensifying like a horrible reality TV storyline.
So I think it's really just the fans, her fans, the Iowa fans, now the Indiana fans that are like, they ride for her.
Alyssa Thomas, clearly not a peacemaker, opted to pour fuel to the flames. She went public, blaming Clark for racist remarks made by her supporters. Yes, you read that correctly. Thomas concluded that Clark had some control over what random people in the stands were saying.
Honestly, it's been a lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base.
Isn't that absurd? It didn't matter what Clark did or said. No, Thomas was only attempting to shift the focus away from her own problems. She bundled her emotions, envy, and everything else was growing within into a tidy little accusation package and tossed it directly at Clark.
She was sexual, and then she had a press conference where she cried and everybody's so mean to me. Well, she's continued the stupidity. I mean, she cheered on her teammate as she shoved Caitlin Clark, knocked Caitlin Clark in the head, and a bunch of other stupid stuff.
But here's the thing. Caitlin didn't have to do anything wrong to be targeted. The adulation she was receiving from fans, the way her name covered every highlight reel and headline, it was enough to start a jealous fire in the WNBA. It wasn't simply random jerks online. It was the players who shared the court with her. Instead of appreciating her accomplishments, some of them simply couldn't take it.
Honestly. And there's no place for it. And we've been professional throughout the whole entire thing, but I've never been called the things that I've been called on social media, and there's no place for it.
Enter Angel Reese. Sure, Reese had her day in the spotlight, but let's be honest, Clark's ascension was on a whole other level, and Angel was plainly not pleased. While Clark rose to prominence in the league, Reese remained on the sidelines, letting the spotlight pass her by. The animosity quickly built up. These athletes had worked hard their whole lives in hopes of receiving the same type of attention as Caitlin Clark. And here she was, a beginner, grabbing it all like it was nothing. Instead of upping their game, they decided to let envy speak. Clark's actions were suddenly scrutinized. They seized every opportunity to bring her down. That's why Clark sees Europe as a delicious retreat. It's more than just playing in a new league with a different atmosphere. It's about inhaling air that isn't contaminated by the harmful poisons the WNBA had been blasting her way. The envy, petty accusations, and incessant drama had nothing to do with basketball anymore. Clark knew it. She did not owe anyone another second of her time in that disaster.
She has a little podcast. Close your eyes. You know where it's going. You know it's going to Caitlin Clark fans are mean. And if Caitlin Clark fans are mean and they're white, where does this head? Oh, you know it goes to racist.
While her naysayers are busy stirring the fire, Clark is already miles ahead, doing what she usually does best, letting her game speak louder than the rest. The fact that she picked Europe over the WNBA offseason is her way of saying, I don't need to stick around for this nonsense. Because, let's be honest, the environment in the WNBA no longer revolved around basketball. It was simply a jealousy-fueled feeding frenzy, with players and commentators seizing any opportunity to bring her down. Not because of what she achieved, but because of how the world accepted her. And to them, that was the true crime. She didn't just cast shade, she backed up the dump truck and dumped it, alleging Clark's decision was unrelated to escape the WNBA's dumpster fire climate. Nope. Reese wanted everyone to know it was all about money. To her, Clark was simply out here pursuing the big cash. Forget the chatter about toxic teammates and dirty play. Angel is confident it is all a ruse. But let's stand back for a moment. Is this truly about money, or is Reese attempting to divert attention away from the reality that she's in the midst of her own mess? Because, let's be honest, Reese's name is still in the news as a result of her involvement in the steroid incident. Her job is hanging by a thread, and when you're that deep down the rabbit hole, it's far simpler to blame someone else than deal with your own issues. Instead of admitting she had been caught using performance enhancers, she thought, why not drag Caitlin Clark down with me?
Her notoriety is based off Caitlin Clark. Because she wins the national title, first thing she does, she mocks Caitlin Clark. And then she doesn't even celebrate with her teammates. So she's made it personal with Caitlin Clark. Then she's played off of that. Even Caitlin Clark getting knocked down in that game on Saturday, who's standing up applauding but Angel Reese?
Here's the kicker. Reese didn't stop with Clark. Oh no, she went full speed, claiming that every WNBA player, including Clark, is only interested in making money. What's with the irony? It's so thick that you could slice it with a knife. This is coming from the same athlete whose career ended because she was found juicing to get an advantage. It's a classic deflection. She's drowning in her own controversy, so she's throwing charges about like confetti to divert attention away from herself.
So she's sort of embraced a Draymond Green role here. But the eyeballs on the WNBA really have to do with Caitlin Clark.
Let us not overlook the timing. Clark's European journey was revealed in mid-October 2024, right as the WNBA season was closing up. Meanwhile, Reese was already facing criticism for her steroid ban, with tabloids dragging her name through the mud for weeks. By the time Clark was preparing for Europe, Reese had already made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Steroids, EPO, anabolic medications, you name it. What is her reputation? Toast. However, Angel is attempting to portray Clark as the greedy one. It is almost amusing. Reese, who is facing allegations of a lifetime ban, lawsuits from the Chicago Sky, and a career on the verge of collapse, has the audacity to behave as if Clark is making questionable actions. Fortunately, the sports world is not buying what Reese is selling. Analysts ranging from Stephen A. Smith to Patrick Bet-David have blasted Reese for her obvious hypocrisy. They accuse her of targeting Clark in order to divert attention away from her steroid controversy. What about the public? Yeah, they're pretty much over Reese's shenanigans. When you step back and look at the larger picture, Reese's demise did not begin with Clark's Euro trip. It began in early September 2024, when the steroid claims first made headlines. When it was revealed that Reese had tested positive for performance enhancers, the WNBA world turned upside down. She was suspended. Her coach, Teresa Weatherspoon, was fired for allegedly aiding her. And the Chicago Sky even sued her. And while all of this was going on, Clark was just going about her business and winning.
I don't really get to stand up for myself. I mean, I have great teammates. I have a great support system. I got my hometown. I got my family that stands up for me. I don't really get to speak out on things just because I just try to ignore, and I just try to stand strong. Like, I've been through so much. I've seen so much. I've been attacked so many times. Death threats. I've been sexualized. I've been threatened. I've been so many things, and I've stood strong every single time.
What about Reese? She couldn't bear watching Clark thrive. And let's be honest, Reese has been envious of Clark's success for quite some time. The timing of her assaults on Clark is not coincidental. Reese's career was in free fall, and the worse things became for her, the more she pursued Clark.
Angel Reese is the villain, Caitlin Clark is the hero, and Angel Reese continued to play into it last night by getting ejected, and it's almost like it's all scripted. This is perfect for the WNBA. She's all the talk. She's the one standing up there in front of reporters saying, I need all of you guys to realize there's two of us that changed the game of women's basketball, and it's not just Caitlin Clark. I was a part of that.
It's the kind of petty drama that makes you squirm. Seeing a player who was once seen as a rising star in the WNBA descend to this. Remember when Angel Reese was setting records and hailed as the next great thing? Yes, those days seem like a lifetime ago. She is now better renowned for being busted with steroids than for anything she accomplished on the court. What's your take on all that? Is this just another story Angel Reese is plotting up to stay relevant? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.